You are not exhausted by the weight of your labor or the heavy burdens of existence. You are exhausted because you are kneeling before inferior mind. You have allowed yourself to be governed by those whose power you cannot even identify, much less resist. While the 99%, the vile multitude, is occupied with idle debates over morality and kindness, the 1% are acting as psychological architects. They are arranging an invisible battle line where the terrain is your own mind. They do not come at you with swords or spears. They strike with a language of ciphers, a coded system designed to facilitate personal aims at your expense. I have not come here to offer you the mercy that has rendered the modern world weak and cowardly. I am not here to comfort your ignorance. I am here to execute a purge of the illusions that shackle your intellect. To survive in these corrupt times, you must understand that virtue is not found in goodness, but in the prudence to recognize a trap before it closes. Welcome to the realm of the enlightened. Here we do not speak of what is right, but of what is necessary. We are about to decode the forbidden tongue, the secret language used by women who have mastered the dark triad, machiavellianism, narcissism, and psychopathy. Prepare yourself. The transition from the ruled to the architect begins now.
Have you ever felt as though you were navigating a minefield at the sound of the words nothing or whatever? This is no mere accident of temperament. It is a calculated deployment of a coded system where silence is utilized as an internal fortress to imprison the adversary. When the architects of dark psychology say nothing, they are signaling a profound frustration and your own perceived inability to grasp the problem, effectively creating a barrier to your decision-making. This is an underhanded form of social influence, a strategic maneuver designed to facilitate personal aims at your expense. In the realm of psychology, these actions are precisely engineered to control others surreptitiously. Those who have mastered the dark triad, Machiavellianism, narcissism, and psychopathy, frequently employ antagonism and emotional detachment as strategic tools. They engage in successful manipulation by concealing their aggressive intentions behind an affable mask while ruthlessly exploiting your psychological vulnerabilities. Tactics such as the silent treatment or the sharp, final, fine are not the end of an argument, but a declaration of a hidden battle line where the underlying issues remain unresolved to ensure your future subordination. You feel a growing sense of isolation, perceiving yourself as an outsider in dialogues where you are always the loser. Do not fall into the trap of self-blame. This difficulty is not a defect, but a sign of a positive mutation. You are evolving beyond the vile multitude to realize a fundamental truth. This world does not operate on the currency of truth, but through the symbols of power and necessity. Like the ancient Romans who rejected the soft and delicate to embrace the harshness of life, you are being hardened to withstand the psychological last misery of the weak. Your solitude is the price of your enlightenment. You are learning to fear the adversary in thought and in order, even while you maintain a mask of indifference to the world. You are no longer merely a pawn. You are becoming the architect of your own internal defense.
Remember this, enlightened one, for it is the cornerstone of your new reality. Silence is the only fortress that no army can conquer. In the invisible battle formation of the mind, the one who speaks first is the one who reveals their flank. To speak is to expose your position. To remain silent is to remain invulnerable. The women who have mastered these dark arts recognize that silence is never a vacuum. It is the accumulation of ultimate power. When they deploy the silent treatment, they are not merely withdrawing, They are constructing an internal fortress designed to imprison you within your own anxieties. When she looks you in the eye and says, "Nothing," she is utilizing a coded system to signal her frustration while simultaneously creating a barrier to your decision-making, forcing you to negotiate with a ghost. She understands what the vile multitude does not. That order chases fear from men, and by creating a vacuum of silence, she induces the disorder that destroys your ferocity. Now, engrave this second truth upon your intellect, for it separates the ruler from the ruled. Do not explain. Explaining is the act of a subordinate asking for mercy. The moment you begin to justify your actions, you have voluntarily surrendered your weapons to the adversary. You have handed over the keys to your fortress and asked for a lighter sentence. Machiavelli taught that an unarmed prophet always comes to a bad end because he relies on persuasion rather than force. In this psychological realm, your explanation is your admission of weakness. It is an extrinsic allure of the weak who desire to be understood. But you are being trained as an architect, not a petitioner. A true ruler knows that the vulgar multitude is taken by what a thing seems to be and by the final result. Therefore, you must never beg for understanding from inferior minds. You either issue the command or you maintain the silence. To explain is to kneel. To remain silent is to reign.
Stratagem 1. Decoding Womanese, the intelligent system of the field. In this invisible theater of war, words are never what they seem. They are merely the extrinsic adornments used to deceive the vulgar multitude. To reign, you must implement a battlefield intelligence system to decode the forbidden tongue. When the dark practitioner utters the word "fine," the untrained mind hears agreement. The architect hears a declaration of war. It is a strategic conclusion to an argument where she has determined her own righteousness and is now positioning her forces for a covert attack. Observe her eyebrows. When she says "go ahead" with a raised brow, she is not granting you license. She is issuing a dare. It is a tactical trap designed to lead you into a conflict over nothing, a term which signals her frustration and your perceived inability to grasp the terrain, creating a barrier to your future decision-making. You must learn to read the tactical map behind these sounds, for he who is more vigilant in discerning the plans of the enemy will incur fewer dangers. Stratagem 2. The defenseless stratagem, the art of the feint. Machiavelli taught that the prince must be a fox to discover the snares. The dark practitioner understands the power of simulated weakness. In this coded system, they use superficial sympathy, what the ancients called crocodile tears, to lower your guard and exploit your psychological vulnerabilities. They conceal aggressive intentions behind an affable mask to lead you into a position where you are unready for the true strike. Do not assault this manipulation head-on. Fury is easily withstood by firm and solid men. Instead, act as a psychological architect. Identify the emotional frameworks they deploy, gaslighting to erode your sense of reality, or triangulation to create a three-way battlefield where you fight ghosts while they remain secure. When you perceive their extraordinary and unforeseen fatality being prepared for you, remain cold. Things foreseen offend less. Stratagem 3. The internal fortress of discipline. A sovereign never allows the humors of his own emotions to govern his strategy. To withstand the siege of dark psychology, you must build an internal fortress of discipline. This is not a passive wall,
but a raging river of will that you have learned to constrain with barriers and defenses. You must harden the body and spirit, mimicking the Roman soldiers who drilled daily so that they would no longer fear the sudden thrusts of the adversary. This discipline is your primary defense against digital mind games. When faced with ghosting or cryptic posts, the weak become disordered and broken by their very own anxieties. But you, the architect, remain temperate and prudent, maintaining your reputation for gravity and fortitude. You recognize that order chases fear, and by maintaining your internal sequence, you render their intermittent reinforcement and silent treatment altogether useless. Stratagem 4. The purge of the vile multitude. A state cannot be secure if it relies on a mercenary army that has no loyalty. The same is true for your circle of power. If an ally, be it a partner or a friend, brings no profit to your sovereignty, they are a burden and a source of peril that must be eliminated. You must have the sufficient level of ruthlessness to execute a thorough purge. Cut off the entities that seek to starve your spirit through guilt-tripping or emotional blackmail. These are unfaithful and dangerous forces that rob you in peace and leave you to the enemy in war. Remember, men ought either to be well treated or crushed, for they can avenge light injuries, but are powerless against the total destruction of their influence. By exterminating the families of those lords whom you have despoiled, by which I mean severing every tie to those who manipulated you, you ensure that the memory of your former bondage is lost forever. Only when your terrain is purged of these inferior minds can you truly begin to reign.
You now hold the fragmented ciphers of a forbidden manual of power. But understand this: knowledge divorced from execution is merely the unfruitful refuse of the intellect. To know the secret language and yet remain passive is to remain an unarmed prophet who is destined to come to a bad end. You are currently at the precipice of your own purge. You can either retreat into the comfortable delusions of the vile multitude, or you can embrace the harsh and strong things that define a true ruler. I demand more than your attention. I demand a covenant. Do not merely watch this transmission and return to your life of subordination. I require you to step into the architect level now. Underneath this video, leave your mark in the shadows. Do not offer cheap adulation or the swelling words of the weak. Instead, leave a cold affirmation of your intent to found your own forces. Write these words: I renounce the chains of the ruled. We shall observe your evolution. From this moment, your silence is your first deployment, an internal fortress that no psychological army can breach. You are learning to fear the adversary in thought and order, even as you despise them in extrinsic demonstration. The velvet curtain has fallen. The battle line is drawn in the soil of your own mind. You have two paths. Will you be the one who places himself on the high mountain to hold the tactical map of the world? Or will you remain a lost outsider, a stray piece in a game of chess, wandering the forest that others have grown to entangle you? Choose, for the time to reclaim your sovereignty is not in the future. It is now.